Stream Sports, and we're back. And Connor, we're back into the 2K world. I've come back for more. Last time we did this, you really took it to me. How are you feeling about tonight?
We're friends and we stream sports and we got Lakers and we got Heat. And I still don't think I'm all that great at 2K, but I know how to push a button beyond the three-point line. So I'm feeling just about as excited as some of these NFL fans in our Florida football stadiums this weekend, as we now have 100% full capacity in some of these football stands.
I did see that the Dolphins are going to still limit it, but still it's allowed to be 100%. Are you going to go to a game?
No. I probably won't this season go to Orlando City, which is the closest event. I'm probably gonna keep my distance here a little bit, but next year it could be on. What about you?
If I get the time, I'm debating on kind of just going down to see Touchdown Tommy. Probably sitting in upper deck section so I can keep my social distancing down. But taking care of that. But I kind of want to go. This has been a wild year for sports, so why not be a part of it?
No doubt. And speaking about wild years, NFL's already had some wild times, right? And some teams that have been surprising, and a few of our picks that have been surprising. More importantly, some of my picks that have been surprising. Rutledge, why do you think the Packers are this good?
I think the Packers are this good because, as Aaron Rodgers said when he was on Pat McAfee this week, he said, "I sometimes laugh when people talk about down years for me because a lot of times down years for me are career years for most quarterbacks." It's just facts, bro. I really think Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers is teaching us all a lesson that we just need to remember how good he really is. We get caught up in all this other sort of quarterback talk and all this other QB drama. We forget about Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers for a reason. I mean, when you look back on it, the Packers traded away an old Brett Favre to the New York Jets even after he retired because they were like, we're good.
That's how good. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is just mad, but he's not the kind of mad who's going to punch a hole in a wall. Aaron Rodgers is the kind of mad where he goes, all right, bro, don't worry about it. I'm going to go put up a career year and prove everyone in the building wrong. So definitely have mad props for Aaron Rodgers. And then on the other side, how much have the wheels fallen off for the Texans so far this year? What do you think about that, Rutledge?
Man, Bill the Builder could not fix it. Like, he thought he could, and he could not fix it. They've lost everything. I think he lost the locker room. He tried to go full Jimmy Johnson in the 90s, but he didn't have anyone to check him, and it just didn't work, right? I hope we'll talk about later who we think is going to fill in that spot, but they're going to have a huge quarterback cap to have to play around with. But we'll get into that this afternoon or further down the line. But you know what it really takes, Connor? I think it just really takes. I'm going to load the game here, but what do you think really was the reason that the Texans fell apart underneath Bill O'Brien?
Rutledge, I've had some time to think about this, and a lot of times quarterbacks get referred to as CEOs of franchises, the CEOs of the billion-dollar franchises. And, I don't think that that's actually super accurate. I think that a quarterback is the number one sales rep of a franchise and a business and a great revenue driver of that franchise and business. But the CEO, that's the head coach. And virtually no one knows the CEOs of companies. They might hear about them and things like that, but unless you're a Jeff Bezos or an Elon Musk or a Jack Dorsey over at Twitter, right? You don't know who the main CEOs are. But what's interesting about this relationship is that it's a very symbiotic relationship. The quarterback has to be dependent on the infrastructure set by the coach, and the coach needs the quarterback to drive revenue, or in this case, wins. So I think it's just one half of a bad symbiotic relationship. But Lakers win the tip-off. But Rutledge, I hope you showered this week, and want to hear your shower take.
Oh man, my thought this week is all about sports. Is as tonight we are just playing a intense matchup to commemorate the finals as Shaq defends Shaq against Shaq. Something that I kind of thought about this week is we're in just an incredible year of sports. This year is just magical. We've got a lot going on this year. We have the NBA bubble, which is just such a cool concept. We have the MLS's back tournament, which was neat. We have the NFL has got some great drama and storylines. And the sad thing that really kind of bothers me about it, and I also love that a lot of athletes have taken this year to be like, you know what? I'm a sports athlete. I'm an icon. I'm going to say and speak up for human rights. Backcourt violation on me. And that's been powerful too. We've had such a momentous historical year, but I feel like the asterisk in the book is just going to say COVID-19 year all year long. And that's just, I really wish we could just take sports and think about all the great history and all the dramas. There's going to be so many ESPN 30 for 30s to come out of 2020, but it just really kind of hit me of that we're not going to remember this year of being the year of all the cool stuff or all the wokeness and all the politicalness and everything that happened, all the good things that happened. We're just going to be like, well, it was everyone, we were trying to not be sick. So that's kind of been my shower thought. But I think it's time, Connor, before we get into that. Also, shout out, we have 3 viewers tonight. Shout out to them. Remember, if you watch our show, you get merch. We don't have merch to give you, but one day we will get it, and we will give it to you.
And just so it's clear, we are not sponsored by Starbucks, and I would not be sponsored by Starbucks.
I would love to be sponsored by Starbucks. I would love to be sponsored by Starbucks, just like Kobe. Just own that. That was a great. As we go about halfway through the first quarter, to score a 4-4. I feel like we've scored more points than that.
Our takes have been hotter than the score. That's for sure.
So as we get in the state of the Shield, let's talk about Bill O'Brien. And we gave him our honorable mention of terribleness on opening week. Do you think we got him fired?
Yes, I think that Jackie McNeil, owner of the Texans, is a closet fan of FriendStream Sports. I'm not going to say we helped his cause, and there's a great chance that that was a part of it. Definitely we are the voice of reasons in the sporting world. So yeah, I'm not going to say like it was a sure thing, but I could see that happening. What do you think, Rutledge?
I really feel like that. But just as I said that the sporting world is going to be clouded by COVID-19, this will not also be remembered the year that we came true. It will be very much also COVID-19. So who would you replace Bill O'Brien with? And would you also hire a GM? Because he was doing both.
Yeah, I mean, you need to hire a GM. That rarely ever works. You never say never, but the ability for that to work is always tough. So I think, yet again, to go along with what I was sharing, I think that you've got 2 kinds of coaches that you can go with. You can go with more of a CEO type coach, I know I'm going to dig down into the college ranks here, but a Bob Stoops or an Urban Meyer, I think those guys could be good CEOs that would put a good staff together. Shout out to Lovie Smith. The firing of Lovie Smith in Tampa made me not want to be a Tampa Bay Bucks fan anymore. If you go the CEO route, those are 3 ideas. You go a top offensive assistant, I think Eric Bieniemy's name's being floated around, Josh McDaniels, and then Byron Leftwich is another guy who's been floated around a little bit. So what do you think, Rutledge?
My pick for who I would go if I was them and I had to hire. By the way, Ronan says woof. Ronan
agrees with my Byron
says woof. Shout out to our mascot of the show. That's Ronan, Connor's dog. Love to have him around. But as I sort of look at it, if I was going to pick a new head coach to hire to replace Bill O'Brien, I would pick a man named Matt Kafka. Are you familiar with Matt Kafka, Connor?
You should school us up, Rutledge.
So Matt Kafka is the quarterbacks coach for the current Kansas City Chiefs. He got drafted to the Philadelphia Phillies, but he rode 3rd string behind Michael Vick and then behind Kevin Cobb. So he was in that sort of different era of the Phillies back in the day. of the Eagles back in the day, learning through that system. He went to Northwestern. His one coaching job was he did his GA time over at Northwestern, and then he went and he got onto Andy Reid's staff, and he's been an offensive coach ever since then. So Patrick Mahomes has become very well respected in the league, and you and I are very big believers that coaching is really what makes the difference. All right, get the foul and one. Coaching is really what makes.
Coaching. Kafka has never even been a coordinator, right? He's just been a position coach.
He's just been a position coach. But if you think about it, look at what he's done with the offense. Look at how Patrick Mahomes has been out there. Deshaun Watson is similar-esque to like a Patrick Mahomes. So you get the right pieces in place, and they have and you make sure the offensive line works, and you build a staff around you. I think he could really do a really good job. Because at the end of the day, if you look at the coaches that work, you either have a defensive-minded coach that runs a good defense, but if they're not good at hiring staff, case in point out there to like Rex Ryan with the Jets and the Bills, he had good defense, but his offensive mindset was just hope Mark Sanchez does well and just run the ball. And that only works for so long. So I think Kafka could be a great pick to pick up there.
You mean hope Mark Sanchez gets less booty than Wilt Chamberlain?
Right.
With all of his butt fumbling. Sorry, I just had to do that one.
It was out there for the taking.
It was out there for the taking. No, I hear you. I think the Texans. It's still a good job. You got a good quarterback there in Deshaun Watson, but it's definitely going to be it'll be interesting to see who they get, and maybe a Lincoln Riley. He could be another hot take coming out of nowhere, but. Definitely a interesting cat, an interesting take for sure. So,
to our viewers out there, let us know who you think would be a good quarterbacks coach. Throw it up in the comment section. We want to interact with you. Who do you think should take over the Texans?
So now, one of the interesting things that we could maybe transition to just a little bit, right? When we did our show prep. We were looking at the different records of the teams, and this season has had some interesting pieces so far in terms of records, and we almost called it keeping up with the Kardashian records, right?
But this segment won't get canceled this year.
This segment will not get canceled this year, but definitely Shaq Diesel. Shaq to the free throw line.
You're gonna take Shaq to the free throw. Have fun with that.
What are the odds Shaq actually makes a free throw? Not good. But Rutledge, while I'm shooting, why don't you talk about any kind of controversy, any kind of theory, any conspiracy theory, or just who the best 0-4 team is?
Right now, our 0-4 teams in the league we had the Bills, the Steelers. Shaq makes a free throw.
Whoa.
The Steelers are 3-0 because they had a COVID game canceled. The Texans are undefeated, but they're having a lot of COVID-19 troubles. The Chiefs, Connor's favorite, the Packers, my Seahawks are all undefeated. I'd also like to point out that the NFC East is a mess. They've only had 3 wins as an entire conference, which is the equivalent to what the Steelers have even after having to miss a game. Oh, with the steal.
Oh, Shaq Diesel running the floor.
Oh,
man. Went for the layup. Kiss it off the glass, brother. There you go.
If I were to sort of look into those teams, I would have to say that the situation with the Titans is going to be, we're going to have to wait and kind of see how the NFL handles that. While I was surprised to see that they were undefeated, same with I was surprised to see the Steelers are undefeated. I think if I were to look at that, this to be a regular sports year and not a COVID-19 year, I would take that the teams I would say undefeated and going to do something, I'm going to take the Bills and I'm going to take the Seahawks. They both look really good. Josh Allen's moving the ball, Russell Wilson's moving the ball. They both have decent defenses. Overall, working out.
A little pick and roll action.
And the layup.
With the layup there.
What do you think about the undefeateds going on right now in the league, Connor?
I think that the Tennessee Titans are probably the worst undefeated team out there, right? They have Derrick Henry. He's a good runner of the football, right? They're well coached. Vrabel knows what he's doing. He's going to go down as a Patriot guy who can actually make it happen as a coach. But you got to have a good second pitch. And for the Titans' case, their second pitch needs to be, man, I was hitting the wrong buttons here. Their second pitch needs to be Ryan Tannehill, and he is, I don't think he's got the juice to beat a Patrick Mahomes. He doesn't have the juice in his shoulder to have to score 40 points one night. As I've already shared before, as I shared last week, you got to be able to win games in a variety of ways. I don't see the Titans being able to win games in a variety of ways. So out of the current undefeated teams, I would say the Titans are the worst undefeated team. And in terms of the best winless team, my take is that the Falcons are the best winless team that we have out there so far. Matt Ryan, I mean, he's not like the best, but I mean, he's not terrible, right? I mean, he still won an MVP one year. Dan Quinn can coach a little bit. It's not like he's got to coach himself out of a wet paper bag here. So I think the Falcons, if there's any team that's got a shot to sort of pull things together, it's going to be the Falcons. But time is definitely running out. So any other thoughts in terms of records, Rutledge?
I agree with you with the Falcons. Like they just need some better leadership. I think Dan Quinn is going to be a defensive coordinator somewhere pretty soon. They just don't have it in the tank, but they have too much on paper talent in order to, like you get rid of Matt Ryan, who do you go get is always the thing you hear in the sports talk business. There's no one else to sort of go out there and get. I'm not going to give up Matt Ryan. Oh, that wasn't a foul.
Maybe you trade Matty Ice for a first pick. I mean, I know we're going to touch base later. I mean, maybe I just leaked a halftime hot take there.
Maybe. I think you could. You got to hold on to him. I think you have to. If there's anything, you kind of just got to get the defense better in Atlanta to give Matty some time. But he's got all the right pieces. They can drive down. They just make bad decisions as the game goes on. I also think they need a better offensive coordinator. Their Super Bowl run, they had Kyle Shanahan, and that's what kind of made that system go. And now they don't have that same mind, and it's not working. Because, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Matt Ryan, Todd Gurley, if that was a Madden roster, you would just clean house. But, life is not video games, as we talked about in one of our earlier episodes.
Although this version of Todd Gurley would be like if Shaq was on the all-time Celtics team. Shaq circa his time at the Boston Celtics and Cleveland Cavaliers was not Shaq circa the LA Lakers or the Miami Heat. So
this is true.
Just things to consider there.
This is true. Just things to consider. Also, let's talk about Josh Allen. What do you think of Josh Allen?
Man, Josh Allen has surprised so many people. I think one of the things that is interesting about a year like this, because there's no fans in the stands, I think you've got guys that maybe, I'm not going to call Josh Allen a mental midget by any means. I don't know. I'm sure he is very mentally sturdy, but, I think it is really interesting to have a guy such as Josh Allen be a leader of a team with no, second year. He can really just have time to get in there, run his offense, do what he needs to do. I mean, he's plenty talented, has plenty of arm, and just not having those hostile conditions, even on the road or even at home if you're not playing well and getting booed at by your own fans. So definitely excited, although there's a lot of teams that are going to get more and more tape on him. So I think that the verdict is still out on Josh Allen. What do you think, Rutledge?
I think so too. I think he's surprised people this year. I think also having Stephon Diggs on the team helps with giving him a target. I think he's looked. One thing that he's done that surprised me in watching film of him, he's a lot faster than you think he would be when he runs the ball.
Oh, he's a little athlete now.
He goes and he kind of just brings this King James. Well, that wasn't LeBron James. 2 number 6s on the floor. But one thing that he does is he proves the point that if you're going to draft college quarterbacks, never go to a big school. Because who would have thought that Wyoming football was going to produce the Buffalo Bills savior? Like, nobody did. The only famous talk about Wyoming that I've ever seen is that they just make yellow and brown match.
Yeah.
But so
Sure.
I've just been really surprised on that. I didn't expect him to be as good. But there he goes. But it's kind of, that's just kind of my thoughts in there. Kind of like if you look at Mitchell Trubisky. Mitchell Trubisky sort of proved more of the mold of saying like, hey, not a quarterback known school, you took a quarterback, it's not going to work. Which is why Mitchell Trubisky struggles and Nick Foles. Isn't Nick Foles starting tonight?
Nick Foles is starting against the Bucs.
Nick Foles is starting against the Bucs. You know what I think about the Bears playing? You know what it makes me want? Some Garrett's mixed popcorn.
Oh, yes, Rutledge. Chicago food, so stinking good. Is Garrett's your favorite, or do you have any more restaurants from Chicago or the Midwest that you just, when you think about Chicago, you just always go to in your head?
My big thing that I really sort of shoot for is definitely like some Garrett's popcorn. Have to get it fresh, not from the airport, but like if you're on the Mile or wherever you're at. It's a huge thing that I like. Nice shot to close the half.
Buzzer beater, bro.
My one thing that I have not had in Chicago that I will admit out loud forever is I haven't been to Portillo's yet. I know that's a big shame on me for Chicago. I'm gonna go with a friend of mine egged me to go there. I'm Illuminati's guy out of Chi-Town though. I am not a Giordano's person. What about you, Connor?
Well, I'm not a Giordano's person, but I do like some Giordano's pizza. That's for sure. Although Giordano's is not as good outside of Chicago as it is in the city, especially Orlando. You cannot rely on fast food that relies on its bread in the great state of Florida just because the water is not that good. The key thing to get with your Portillo's order whenever you go is always going to be to get the combo. The combo is the Italian beef, and we're gonna do this here. We might have to do 2 pauses in a row so we can get our hot takes in.
So what's the combo?
Combo is Italian beef, Italian sausage, 1 bun. It's a lot, and it's fan-freaking-tastic. So enough about that. Let's go into halftime hot takes, Rutledge. Real quick. Who's your number 1 pick for the 2021 draft?
And just to clarify for all of our viewers, it's not who the player is going to be, it's who, based off the records and the teams we're going to have, who's going to have the number 1 pick. I'm going to go with, it's going to feel like the easy toss, and we're just shooting fish in a barrel here, but I'm picking the New York Jets. I also never liked the Sam Darnold pick. I don't know why you take a half-decent, half-bad USC quarterback and think he's going to fix your franchise. Plus their defense is a mess. Plus every media channel just destroys Adam Gase. I think they're going to be in for a world of hurting for the rest of the year. They may go an offer, and they're going to be the number 1 pick at the top of the draft. So I hope Trevor Lawrence is ready, because that's probably who they're taking. Who's your team that's going to have the number 1 pick?
Oh, my number 1 pick is led for now by the 1940 style NFL head coach rule, and that's the New York Giants. If
Make a mistake, run a lap.
Yeah. If Matt Rule hasn't lost a locker room yet, he most certainly will. Danny Dimes is going to need a ton of dimes to get on his plane ride out of New York. And no Saquon. They're 0-4, and out of the 0-4 teams, they probably have the worst quarterback situation. So they're least likely to trade the pick. So New York Giants will be picking number 1, and I think that's all the time we have for halftime hot takes. So,
I agree. Let's go into our third quarter topic, and now we're going to talk college football. What a momentous year it was. And last week, oh, come on, LeBron, you had that. Last week, we both gave our top 4s, and you picked an undefeated UCF, and, well, Tulsa had something to say about that. I'm pretty sure that someone at Tulsa watches the show, by the way, Connor, because they came out rolling. And I picked Texas.
Can I say? I'm good at giving locker room material.
There you go. I picked Texas, and they faltered on us. So we're going to get into that in the back half of this quarter. But the big thing to talk about right now is the Big 12 and the Big 10 Pac-12. They're coming to play football at some point. How do they get in the playoff?
I think number 1, the critical thing is you got to have an undefeated ACC and an SEC team. If you've got a lot of chaos between the ACC and the SEC, I think that might actually end up hurting the Pac-12 because of the perceived strength and the fact that they've been playing more. So I think you need an undefeated, let's say a Clemson and an undefeated Alabama or Georgia. I think if you've got five one-loss teams, that's real tough. And then I think the other way to get Big Ten or Pac-12 team into the playoff, it's not just win, but it's going to be to win and cover, right? And that's probably Ohio State, Penn State, or Oregon are the best teams, kind of the best chances based off the rankings. They got to grab some style points, but they can't struggle on a Saturday night at Purdue. They can't go to Washington State and falter. These teams got to come in, clean house, cover, do what they came to do for that shot at the playoffs, because there's just less sample size. So the sample has to be better.
I agree with that a lot. I think my example of someone making the table. Here's something I saw that I want to share before I get into my take. Is there are currently 6 teams on the college football top 25 that have not played a game yet. Most of them are Big Ten teams, with the exception of Oregon. Oregon is the only Pac-12 team ranked at this time. And
someone's in the house.
I know it's getting dangerous
inside the house.
But sorry, I got really focused on that LeBron jumper. It was just so pretty. I just missed it twice because it's Heat LeBron. But as we go with, they're going to have to really run the table. But like you said, they can't falter. Ohio State is going to have to beat everyone by 20, including Minnesota and including Michigan. I personally don't. It's going to be really tough to see what the committee is going to do this year as we talk about the college football playoff in the top 4, because the committee doesn't like to have more than, they want to have every conference sort of represented. But my stance on it is like, okay, when we all talked and we all came together, we said we're going to play, y'all held back for safety, and then you just didn't get that football revenue, and then you're like, wait, we're going to play. And it really, LeBron again with the jumper. There we go. It really, to me, seems like that the committee doesn't want to do it, but I don't think it's fair to have to go through, I mean, you played, the other conferences went through summer camp, and they went through the whole 9 yards of getting ready, and they went through, they're going playing through hot games, and they had to social distance extra, they had to do all the precautions, and people got sick, and they did everything they were supposed to in the risk of playing. So I think they should be rewarded at those conferences of a playoff shot. That being said, coming in hot with my take, I think this year's playoff with those teams has a possibility to just contain SEC and ACC teams. If I could take it, it's going to be Bama and Clemson, maybe in that order, maybe not in that order. And then after Bama and Clemson, you're going to have most likely a Florida, and then either Miami or a Notre Dame, whoever just sort of is able to handle Clemson better. That, to me, is the playoff we should have based on the circumstances you have to play football. I don't know if that's the playoff we're going to get, but those are the teams that I think came in and did all the right work in the right time. I just see it as, injuries happen this far in the season. Those other 2 conferences that haven't played get to kind of come in fresh in the fall classic part of the season. What do you think about the top 4 with conferences, Connor?
In terms of the top 4 with conferences, I think that with everybody playing, I still think that you got to have, one more substitution to make. There we go. All right. With everyone playing, you got to remember, what is it? Clemson plays both Notre Dame and Miami, but Miami just plays Notre Dame. So if Clemson goes undefeated, Notre Dame's gonna probably not make the playoff. Clemson's got to lose one for another ACC team to make it. The conference is just too weak. And unfortunately, Florida State's down. Unfortunately, Virginia Tech's not as good. And although UNC's ranked, I think that's more due to other teams not playing. I think that's important to consider there. In terms of who is number 4 as it stands today, I'm going to have to grin and bear it because I'm a Florida State fan. It's going to pain me to say it, but I think that the Florida Gators are currently the 4th best team in the country, and if the playoffs started today, they would be number 4. I think that as a team, you always, it's very easy for a team to take the emotional stance that a coach does. So, for example, if a coach is very passionate, right, the Dick Vermeil-led teams, right, it's very passionate team. But I think that Dan Mullen is a steady presence, and this is the year for sure that you need a big, steady presence. So, and Florida does not play Florida State. Even though Florida State's down, that still is a bitter, bitter rivalry game. And it's very, that's why Florida State could totally make their season off of beating Florida, which they're not going to get the chance to do this year. So that's who I think my number 4 is for now. I think that's going to change once Florida plays Georgia. The odds of an Ohio State winning and covering all season are pretty good. But it's definitely still up in the air there. So, and as always, as I like to say, there's a lot of ball left to be played. So,
last 10 seconds before we move on to our fourth quarter topic of the finals. Who's your sleeper team in college football that's going to wreck someone's season?
Ooh, who's my sleeper team? I'm going to go with, and it's not. You always get mad at my
2 seconds.
takes. I think USC is going to have an issue, or is going to nip one team at the bud, probably Oregon. So, SC. What about you, Rutledge?
I'm going to go with our topic of last week, Mike Leach and the Mississippi State Bulldogs. I think he will wreck someone's season, right? The big one, of course, we talk about is Bama, but if they beat Alabama, it's going to change the landscape of everything.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we've been playing basketball. We're doing Heat. We're doing Lakers. It's time to talk about the finals. The finals, Game 5 is tomorrow. Series is at 3-1. Oh man, there could be. Connor, your pick is on the. We are less than almost 24 hours away from your pick coming true, and I'm biting my nails. Not gonna lie, I'm a little nervous about the Heat. What do you think about how do they come back? If you think they'll come back.
Well, let's remember here. I was the one that did call Heat in 5. Or not Heat in 5, pardon me, Lakers in 5. I was not picking Heat in 5. The Heat to lose in 5. It's been, was it Colin Cowherd had a little segment with Nick Wright about, the impact that Anthony Davis has had. And even though Anthony Davis had one night a 15-point game, Anthony Davis has been pretty stinking good throughout most of the series. But it's a great testament to LeBron. LeBron's had a quote down series, and he's still nearly averaging a triple-double and yelling at his teammates to be locked in. So, definitely LeBron James had a great series so far, even by his standards. Always just awesome to be thinking about that and cognizant of that. I think that there's 2 things for the Heat to come back. One, they need more role players to be more consistent, right? A Duncan Robinson, a Jay Crowder, a Tyler Hero. You need those guys to be more consistent and to really just, maybe it's one at a time, have those games that they really bust out. Man, they zoomed in pretty inappropriately on that computerized cheerleader's bottom right there. I don't know if you saw that, to our viewers out there. I'm sorry if you're watching this with your family. Whoa, this is, man, it's after 9 o'clock, so I guess it's no more time for family time.
Friends do stream sports, but friends aren't here to stream that.
Friends are not here to stream that. I think the other thing is that the Heat have to come out and play. They got to be the aggressor. They got to be the one to force turnovers. They got to be the team to really dive in. Maybe Jimmy Butler spends one quarter just fouling guys and ends the first quarter on Friday night with 3 fouls, and he stays in there, but he's just trying to get in people's heads. I think that when they do that, I think the other piece is that they need to make sure that Rajon Rondo is the one when that next unit comes in that is beating them by taking jump shots. If Rajon Rondo, just goes 10 for 12 from the floor and is just making a ton of jump shots, it just wasn't meant to be for the Heat. But I think you got to pick who you're going to be okay with beating you, and that should be a Rajon Rondo type player. So, what about you, Rutledge? Heat in 7. How are you still feeling about that?
I am nervous. I watched some film today. LeBron James looks different. And you're right when he's yelling at people. LeBron James is now playing like commander basketball, where Anthony Davis is just a piece in the system, and he's running that team as like a coach on the floor. He's like a quarter, although I don't know what he's doing tonight. He missed that easy dunk, and then he just threw it off the backboard. But LeBron is just absolutely his vision is amazing. He'll come down and you think he's just going to do the classic LeBron, run the lane and dunk it, and then he'll pass it to a wide open person. They sink the jumper and just, then he drains it to AD when he needs to. It's just incredible. Solid rebound there, Connor. It's just been amazing to watch. I think what has happened, though, is the Heat have allowed too many little mistakes. There's been some open shots by AD. There's been some, not good fouls. There's been playing too aggressive to get yourself hurt. I'm glad they were recovering for their injuries. But it's a tough uphill battle. And I was talking to my friend Christopher, who is our resident Heat fan friend. He even knew that it didn't feel improbable, but it felt very impossible. Because this Laker team is just stacked. When Dwight Howard, who is probably on an all-time team roster somewhere in this game, is a piece player, and you're just feeding him the ball to let him do his thing, and then Kyle Kuzma and KCP, and everyone is just coming into pieces because LeBron and AD are orchestrating them, and then those two can clean up. The Heat don't have it against them, but they got some work to do. So I'm feeling it for the Miami Heat. The one thing that bothers me, though, is I don't like that the media is saying that this was LeBron's easiest ring. He didn't have to go through the Bucks. He didn't have to go through the Clippers. He just had to play this Heat team, and I don't think that's fair. This Heat roster is good. I just think this Heat roster, they just didn't peak at the right time. They were kind of like the Atlanta Braves when the Atlanta Braves made the playoffs last year, which shout out the Braves won today and beat Miami. When the Braves made the playoffs last year, they peaked too early. This Heat team, I think, peaked a year too early. Next year, they're going to be incredible. They're going to play this weird, look like superstar-fueled but system basketball. But right now, I think the Lakers are gelling so well that they can come back. But it's all going to, tonight's where it matters. Or excuse me, tomorrow, Friday, 9 p.m. is all where it matters. So almost 24 hours to go. I think if I were Jimmy Butler, I'd be draining my coffee maker tomorrow morning and getting ready to pack that thing up for the flight home after the game. That's how I feel going into it. Are the Heat going to just take the bus down I-95? I don't know. Do they want to take the bus? I mean, the Turnpike's a nice drive, or do you think they would fly it? Do they have...
It is, I think, a 27-minute flight. From Orlando down to Miami. American Airlines does fly Orlando to Miami.
That's true.
Even in these wild times.
I mean, if I'm paying $20 for a cup of coffee, I know I'm going to pay. I know I'm going to get a flight home. As I need a flight home. Magic Johnson has been an absolute chess piece for you. He is moving everywhere, all over the floor.
It is the Lake Show, baby.
The Lake Show, right?
I'm surprised that neither of the Heat. Well, I guess they would have the current coaches. So Frank Vogel and Eric Spoelstra, but no shout out to Pat Riley. I mean,
no shout out to Pat Riley.
Both of these teams,
right? Someone who's just made incredible steps. I mean, he's just going to go down as one of those people in the game of basketball. He's just legendary in a good way for what he can piece together. So we have our final 36
Rutledge.
seconds, Connor. I think it's time for us to move to our picks. What do you think?
Oh, I'm down. We've got a few picks to make here this evening. So and I am trying to help ensure a win. I appreciate the foul there.
You're welcome.
So first up, we've got Miami Hurricanes versus Clemson. Clemson is a 14-point favorite, Rutledge. So tell us who wins, and if you do pick Clemson to win, let us know if you think they cover and any other thoughts on it.
Miami comes in. Derek King is hot. This is Clemson's big test. I think they've been sleeping through their other teams just because they've been able to just sort of handle them, and kabam, Miami with the upset.
Whoa, Miami with the upset. That's
Miami with the upset. I think Miami blows it up, and this is going to change college football. We need this. This year is becoming too predictable with not enough drama. What do you got?
There you go. I think that the only way that Miami wins is if Miami would have to win by force 4 Trevor Lawrence turnovers and just play real gutsy and just make a ton of big plays. I think that Miami's going to make some big plays, but they're not going to make enough. I think Clemson wins the squeaker. So if you're putting money on it, I would still put money on Miami. But if you're just going straight up, I'd say Clemson wins the squeaker on Saturday night.
All right, next game we have, it's the Red River rivalry. It is Texas-Oklahoma weekend. Who you got?
Texas versus Oklahoma. Both teams reeling after bad losses. Mr. Sam Ehlinger is not as tuned in as Magic Johnson is right now, that's for sure.
Magic Johnson is on fire.
Yes. Tom Herman coached team yet again, committing a lot of turnovers and penalties. Oklahoma has a man named Rattler, so you can never count them out. I'm going to take Oklahoma to win and cover.
I have, in that Texas has put up 51 points a game. I have that, as Texas has 51 points a game, Rattler has 10 touchdowns and 4 interceptions this year. I think Texas's defense gives them a mess, and I think Texas is able to take it and win it. I do not, so I'd have Texas with the upset. I think 2.5 points to Oklahoma is too gracious, giving them too much credit. And Oklahoma hater.
Oh, Kobe is so. Amen to that. Amen to that. All right, and then give us some of your thoughts on that.
I'm taking the Saints to cover with the line of 7.5. That's a really good game to break out. Chargers have this weird thing that they'll look really good and then let it fall apart. Sure, Justin Herbert is doing a good job to slot in and make some moves. He's having a good rookie run, but I don't think the Chargers have a rush defense to slow down Alvin Kamara, and they have a lot of O-line injuries. And let's not forget that that defensive line, you and I love a good battle in the trenches, but that defensive line for New Orleans can definitely make some fits for them. Plus, Chargers are going to have to do some traveling in this COVID-19 era. We've seen that road teams have been having a harder time whenever they have to travel.
Yes. No Derwin James, no Nicky Bosa. The D-line for the Saints can create some Fitz magic, if you will. Not that Ryan Fitzpatrick will be playing for defensive line for the Saints, but I think you know where I'm getting at. Shaq is going to go back to the line. Man, these computer players do a great job at fouling. Oh, he stepped out. That's what it was.
Shaq is guarding Shaq.
Shaq on Shaq. I think that, the Chargers are still kind of a year away. Justin Herbert, for our French-speaking friends out there, I think he's going to be good. Love the coach in LA for the Chargers, but I think New Orleans is going to be too much to overcome. I will pick New Orleans to win and cover.
All right. So it sounds like we got a really good week of picks this week. I am going to be, before we go, Connor, I'm saying I am crossing my fingers and hoping for the best for the Miami Heat tomorrow night. See what they can do to take care of it. But if the Lakers win it, I won't be surprised.
There you go. Hey, any shout-outs from our viewers and watchers?
No shout-outs from our viewers and watchers. But remember, to all of our viewers, if you stick with us and hang out with us, drop us some comments or subscribe to us on YouTube at Friends Stream Sports. We'll give you merch. We don't have merch, but when we do get it, we'll give it to you.
Or we can just send you our old stuff. You pick.
You pick. Whatever goes. All size smalls.
I've got some Asics that are dying to get a new home.
I have a good pair of all white socks if you want some all white socks.
So you let us know what kind of merch you want, and we'll get you that merch.
We will do it. Until then, I'm Rutledge.
And I'm Connor.
And have a great night.